Good evening, one and all. Welcome back to the Collegiate Star League. I'm excited to be back, and I know that my co-caster, my partner in crime, is as well. His name is Gorgon the Wonder Cow. You may know him from all of the crazy movies he's made if you are over the age of 18. Gorgon, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right. How you doing, Toughies?
I can't complain. Intro was rough. It's been a long time. So, as you
It's,
guys
it's one of those days. Just one of those days.
It has been. That said, though, we got the update. Treasure 3 is out. The players are here. We're off to a little bit of a late start, but it is going to be a gosh darn good time. So let's talk about, before we talk about the teams, which we're going to get into in a second, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsors. You probably saw the commercial. Band Gaming, a social app, the primary social app of the CSL, with all kinds of features like creating groups for your teams or clubs, boards, calendars, polls, chat, and so much more, including call functionality. So make sure you check them out. They are the premier social experience for you and fellow gamers. Also, Twitch, we appreciate their support in the tournament as every year, trying to grow college esports. Gorgon, we've got a matchup tonight between UCSD. This is a Division I team that made it pretty deep in the tournament last year. Do you remember how far they went?
Off the top of my head, no, but I think it was quarterfinals.
It was round of 8, so yeah, it was very deep.
Or
Quarterfinals.
of what was not in the LAN, right? So that would have
Yes.
been round of 8.
Yep, so they did not make it all the way there. They got very, very close. That said, we were talking to them earlier tonight, Gorgon, and they lost 2 of their players. They graduated 2 players, and their 1 and 2 positions are both brand new. So that may account for a very rough start to the season. They're 0-4 right now, Gorgon.
Yeah, they also, one of their new players is their captain, right? So that maybe undermines some of what they had built last time, but also bear in mind that this is a stage in CSL where a lot of teams take the time to do some experimenting to figure out where they're at as a team and to build. Usually the second semester of play is where we start to see teams get really serious, and I expect UCSD to do their best here, but I would also not be surprised if they, once again, did a little bit of that experimenting.
Absolutely. The first part of the season is generally built for getting to know your team. You only played a couple of times together. And then the second half of the season is when the BCS starts, if you will, where we really kind of keep track and see who gets a chance to go to the big show, the LAN final. Now, on the opposite side, the Wildcats are a team you probably recognize, or a college you recognize as a big name, but they're also having a really tough year. Some people are saying it's because the West pool is smaller this year, Gorgon, so it's all the top teams instead of previous years where these top teams were sort of spread out across a couple of different pools.
And that makes a lot of sense, just statistically speaking. If there are fewer teams, then more of your games are going to be against teams that are better than you, unless you're the best team, right? And once again, probably some shifting meta stuff, some issues with teams trying to figure out where they stand. Remember, last year, a lot of what we saw for CSL was in between periods of instability of the meta, and the meta game and the patches that teams played on last year were much less diverse than and arguably less balanced than the patch that we're on now, where a lot of options are available to you, especially if you're not playing at the highest levels of play, right? If you're playing at a 5K to 6K MMR bracket, what is good will largely depend on what your opponents are comfortable with, making teams that have time to do research, teams that have time to scrim, teams that have time to actually coordinate with each other are going to have a lot more options because there's a wide breadth of variability in what is an effective strategy and an effective draft in 688, which was not necessarily true in 686 and 687, at least not to this degree.
Absolutely, and you can sort of see that a little bit when we talk about the drafts and the bans. Let's take a look at that real quick. So, out of the gate, we see that UCSD has banned the Shadow Demon and the Ogre Magi. Now, are those pretty typical currently in the meta, or is that a symptom of UCSD has done research on Arizona and is taking away heroes that they know they like to play?
Those are very common picks in the meta, both the professional meta and the high-level pub meta. Ogre Magi is really good as a harasser, or Shadow Demon is just a very good initiator, setup, counter initiator. He requires a lot more skill than I think people realize, though, and in most brackets of play that are sub-pro play, Shadow Demon wins. In fact, I think in all brackets he wins significantly less than he loses. But if you have a team Really, the issue with Shadow Demon is that he requires good coordination. So against an opponent team that may play together a lot, that coordination aspect is much easier to nail than with 5 strangers or 4 strangers.
Makes sense. Morphling's going to get picked up by UCSD. So let's talk not about what's missing, but what's sitting on the draft so far. UCSD is sitting on a Keeper of the Light, a hero who I want to say sort of disappeared for a long time or was very niche-oriented. I feel like we've seen more and more of him return in a support role. Is it just because he's so strongly defensive and can hold a lane until your team's ready to go? Or is there something new and interesting that's really brought him back into light?
Well, it brought him back into light partially due to the change that added Chakra Magic to now both Mana Restore and increased Mana Pool, right? That made that spell much better in lane. And then the Mana Leak was actually really, I think, largely what brought him back into play, because there were several heroes like Timbersaw that were very, very susceptible to Mana Leak. Needed high Mana Pool early in the game, were highly mobile heroes, needed that mobility for survivability, and the Mana Leak just tore through them. Mana Leak's been nerfed since then, but a lot of strategies that people discovered because they were running the Keeper Light against heroes like Timbersaw, a lot of those strategies still work, even without Mana Leak being quite as good, right? A lot of these spamming out Chakra Magic, spamming out Blinding Light, and what is it called? Recall together. Yeah, you can do a fair amount of damage, but most players aren't going to max eliminate early in the laning phase. That's like a 2014 build. You don't see it very much anymore.
Makes sense. Now let's look at University of Wild. Arizona has done what I enjoy seeing, which is sort of hide their draft, right, from UCSD. They went Lionbane first. They picked their supports. They've kind of put the onus of stalling on UCSD, knowing that they have to get 4 picks out before their cores are revealed. Kunkka picked up here. Interesting grab. What does the Kunkka tell you about where you think Arizona's going with the rest of their draft?
Well, what's really weird about the Kunkka is that we're normally seeing Kunkka as a support these days. This is presumably going to be a core Kunkka, probably a mid, but it could go off lane or maybe into a tri lane if they really want to play very aggressively. An aggressive tri lane, that is. So Kunkka implies that you're going to have a lot of man fighters. You're going to have a lot of people that are out in the front lines. You're going to want to get active around that 25 to 35 minute mark and really stay active from that point forward, or you're going to lose a lot of the value of that Ghost Ship Rum. If you don't have people that have high health pools, then that Ghost Ship Rum is not going to have the numerical value of offset HP that it would otherwise have. So Tidehunter fits that, right? He's a team fighter. He gets active fairly early in the game. This Tidehunter will probably end up going to a mechanism rather than a Blink Dagger. And I would expect that they're going to go ahead and pick up one more core that is relatively early as a farming carry. Maybe somebody that can solo farm as well. If PA weren't banned, PA would seem like a pretty reasonable pick here.
All right, so we're looking at the last ban section. Anti-Mage going to get knocked out by UCSD. Not interested in dealing with that farm, and you got to give them, it does look legitimate. Arizona here is set up to make a ton of space for any hard farmer they want to pick up. You said PA is out. We see Anti-Mage is out as well. Does this feel like an Alchemist game?
It feels to me more like a Juggernaut game. Juggernaut seems like a hero. He goes into that push very well. He tanks a lot of damage. He likes the front line. The healing ward will do very well. Yeah, he deals well with the shotgun because he can dodge it with the magic resist, right? So that is a hero that I would maybe expect to come out. In Outworld Devourer might be an option here because there's not a lot of high intelligence for UCSD, but it's not a hero that we see a whole lot of. So that would be more of a niche pick. The other thing is maybe they run an axe, but that would make them pretty strength heavy into an Undying, which is not necessarily what you want to do.
And I think it hurts their late game in a way that they're not. I find that in the CSL, teams tend not to be as comfortable with mid-game strategies. They seem to always like to have that sort of release valve backup plan, which I think even the pros want to have something to fall back on if nothing else goes right in the laning phase, etc. CSL even more so because, you know, we love our college players, but these guys aren't pros yet, and they sometimes have the ability to throw just about anything they want to. So it is going to be a Juggernaut picked up there. A very nice grab for him. Now UCSD sees that, and they're going to go with the OD. I was wondering if we'd see an OD in this game. We will immediately. What do you think about these drafts so far?
I like what the Wildcats have on board if they execute it well. I've got an disconnect from server, but hopefully that is just me and not everybody.
A lot of people disconnected, but I think they'll all be back. So we'll give it time. Continue with what
Yeah.
you're saying.
So, but if the execution in the mid game or going into the mid game isn't really there for the Wildcats, then there's a lot more fallback to the late game for UCSD. Right, with the shotgun morphling, you've got a lot of physical damage amplification coming out of the Slardar and from the Undying, and then also bear in mind that there's not a lot of intelligence to go around for U of A's actual cores, right? I mean, Juggernaut's intelligence gain is just miserable. Tidehunters is a little bit better, but it's not great. I don't remember where Kunkus is, but I'd be surprised if it was higher than 1.6. So compared to an OD, as you start to get later in the game and that Sandy's Eclipse starts to come out, having 3 very low int gain heroes is going to be... It's going to be rough if they don't get out ahead. To give you an idea, right? Undying has an int gain of 2.8, and he's a strength hero, right?
Right.
Juggernaut has an int gain of 1.4, so half of that. The heroes for U of A, these are really like we're getting under the hood because we're paused, but like they do not stat gain well into an OD.
Okay. So that OD, we'll see how he does here. It's been up here. We've been seeing more and more in popularity, but it looks like everybody's getting into this. So we'll do some quick introductions as this game gets underway. Guys, it is week 5 here at the CSL in this matchup between Arizona and UC San Diego. For the Radiant side, we're going to have Fritz the Ritz playing the Bane. We're going to have Ghost Hip on the Lion, Niv on the Tidehunter, Kunkka bringing out the Rum, played by Just Jack, and last but not least, the carry, the spin to win, is going to be Nemrion on the Juggernaut.
All right, and for UCSD here on the Dire side, we've got Alice Margatroyd rotting on the Undying. Sky is sliding around on that Slardar. Blue is zipping out on the Morphling. BBQ Plox is casting up a storm on the Keeper of the Light, and Kronos is soaring around on that Outworld Devourer.
And those are the lineups, the last hit tonight chart. CS, if you will, up for you guys to keep an eye on. I am hyped, Gorgon. I have been traveling for various reasons and have missed the first couple of weeks of the CSL. You know how much I love College Dota. I'm stoked to be back here with you guys for every Tuesday and Thursday late night game in perpetuity. If, of course, you're watching from the West Coast, we'll call it the early game for you. That said, it's going to be a very fun season, so make sure you join us every Tuesday and Thursday. Now, Nemrion's going to go head-to-head. He sees Sky come around the corner. Sky's got the ward, did not put it down. So Nemrion and Fritz look like they want to make sure that that ward becomes difficult to place here. Alex, Kronos, Barbecue, they are ready to go for this rune. So it should be an easy rune grab up top for Radiant, and Dire looks like they're not even going to bother trying to go for it here on the bottom.
They're just going to contest this bottom one into the Kunkka.
I like this. They moved on Sky. They found Slardar out of position, so they're going to come back around. They've got the sleep up. There's the spin. A nicely timed play there. Sky is going to be on the run. Can he get out of this one? He looks like he might be in some trouble. Fritz can't close the deal. It's going to turn back around. Nemrion is the first bud. Barbecue Plox gets the kill. Sky heals up, comes in, catches Just Jack. Just Jack is body blocked, rocked, and dropped as UCSD brings the heat to start this game and get it on its feet, man. That was not what U of A, they thought they had him, man. They thought that was a kill on Sky.
Yeah, the Wildcats got themselves into a really good position there to start, but they overengaged on that for sure. Having not seen any of UCSD's lineup anywhere on the map, they probably could have guessed that they were stacking that bottom room, right? So, absolutely. But you saw how low that Slardar got. One auto attack, and he'd have been dead. It's very, very difficult to make that call in a way that your entire team is going to follow. I will say that we can kind of see the low. Actually, check a look at this Keeper, Light, and Lion.
Yeah, right. That support war. It's rare that we're zooming in on a. It was literally like watching two guys in a bar just take turns punching each other, right? Nobody comes out ahead when that happens.
So what I was going to say is you can kind of tell the teams that have been doing well in CSL from the teams that maybe have been struggling based on how quickly do teams actually get out before the buzzer. Teams that do well in CSL have started to mimic professional teams a lot more closely, and they're actually frequently TPing out to get that ward down. And as we saw with the Slardar, he was unable to get out there. It ended up working out for his team, but you could see there are 1,000 ways that play out, and at least 600 of them involve that Slardar dying.
Absolutely. So Slardar just barely got away. And speaking of barely get away, Nemron goes for the spin. They right-click to finish the job. He goes down. Ghost Ship comes in. Double stun, but it's too little too late. And Sky looks like he wants to go, but Coddle is here to help now too. So they think about the Dire. They decide it's not worth it. Wisely done by the Dire. And they'll go right back to playing with that Tombstone. And right now, Dire has a very strong, aggressive tri-lane going on here. Coddle's got that magical stop the push and get some pick-off magic behind the tower. We've got Sky with just a ton of Slithering Crush damage. And obviously, as you and I both know, Tombstone is the devil.
Yeah, so Tombstone is a very, very good spell into this lane because the attack speed for the two supports here that happen to be in this lane is not very good. And the Tombstone zombies are going to latch onto Juggernaut whether or not he's in Blade Fury, right? So he is actually in a bit of trouble again. He does have the mana for a Blade Fury, but if Tombstone goes down, he's dead. Yeah, so going to die anyway.
That's 4-0, man. Juggernaut is not. I mean, this is a very rough start for him. He's been picked off multiple. I don't think that's correct grammar. He's been picked off multiple times, and really, that's I mean, 0-3 start is a Juggernaut. When he's your late game plan, does he have the same bounce back as other heroes might if they fall behind at this stage of the game? How do you make sure that you don't fall that far back?
The Kunkka has to do very well in this mid lane. Okay. It's absolutely crucial for this bounce back. The Tidehunter's probably not going to be able to harass the Morphling out of lane, and he's probably not going to be able to stop the Morphling from getting farm, although so far he actually has been. Now we're going to see the Juggernaut rotate up to the top. Presumably that's going to be followed by some rotations from UCSD, just buying him 1 or 2, maybe even 3 waves of free farm before things start to get rough again for him.
Right.
But if this Kunkka does manage to control his lane, which so far he's not, then he can be the mid-game pace setter, and they can just 4-man up and open up space for the Juggernaut. Fortunately for Juggernaut, that hero does have some bounce back potential.
Yeah.
But he needs to hit it fast.
So, and I think you summed it up right there. You said they've got the potential if Kunkka can control his lane, which currently he isn't, as we watch Kunkka running all the way back to base to get refilled there. So he is way back. They used the scan just in time, by the way, to see that Plox is coming around the backside. A nice ward to make sure that they have full vision. And down the bottom, Radiant supports now get a little bit of free farm, but very fast rotation from UCSD. You said hopefully 3 waves was his goal. He got less than 1.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate.
And now
granted,
he's alone.
He's not dealing with the tri-lane yet. Presumably, the Undying is going to rotate up here too at some point to really shut him out, though they may not even need it because he's so far behind, and the Morphling is so far ahead of him. But this is at least a much more favorable lane, right? Because there's nothing here that really goes through his match community.
There's the Tombstone on the bottom. They want Fritz the Ritz. He's trying to get out of there. Alice is playing very hardball, wants to get the takeout. Nice job to buy himself a little bit of time with that Brain Sap. Can he get himself back? I'm sorry, the Nightmare. And now they move. Hex is on Sky. Sky's got to back away, pop the sprint, taking a lot of damage, but he's fast enough to get himself out of dodge.
Fritz could have had that kill, and I bet Ghost Ship's berating him right now. He started to walk over toward the kill and then doubled back before the Lion had actually sunned, presumably not wanting to die to a decay, but he had his salve running. He definitely could have grabbed that kill. Just a little miscommunication between the Lion and the Bane. It seems like Lion says, if you're not going to play games with me, I'm going to go play with someone else.
What do you think about this? Niv just TP'd back to the top lane, so Nemrion and Niv are sharing the experience here up on top and leaving Fritz all by himself.
Well, Niv is going to be coming back to this camp here, and and that's what an offlaner would probably be doing at around this stage in the game anyway. So it's not that big of a deal. He can also stack Ancients. Bear in mind that Anchor smashes physical damage, so he can knock down Ancient stacks with it later on.
Well, let's take a quick look at CS. I want to point this out because things are spiraling out of control rapidly right now. 37-19 to 10-0, Kunkka versus OD. That is tough, to say the least. Then you've got 26-8 for the Morphling, and 22-7 for the Slardar. So every single lane is being dominated by UCSD. Now Blue's going to go on Nemron. Nice spin to get out of there, but Blue's still got the right clicks, decides he'll just send him back to base because he doesn't have enough regen to stand around much. Okay, there he is. He did go ahead and put 1 point into that healing ward out of desperation. And I don't know, man. I think that what do? You're University of Arizona. You have to know you're losing all 3 lanes. You just hold out and hope for the best? Like, what's the play?
They have to hit a critical mass before they can try to group up. If they try to
Right.
group up now, they're just going to lose experience. They're not going to get much out of it. Even if they get kills, they're not going to get more gold than their opponents are going to get free farming 2 other lanes.
True.
And it'll just be a holdover before their opponents knock down their first tower and cast right back up. So they need to make sure they're getting some tier 1 items out before they group up too much. But some rotations would do really well. Ideally, they'd be able to turn around one of these gank attempts like they had almost done with the Lion and Bane down bottom. A turnaround on one of these ganks could set them in the right direction, especially if the Kunkka or the Juggernaut gets the kill.
That's really what it's going to need here. All right, so they're going to move forward. Niv playing the tank role up there on the top. Just Jack, low on health, coming out of the mid. Wants to try and make a play. He's closing. He's got the mana regen. There's the X marks the spot. But he went for Coddle, not for Blue. Blue turns back. Hex comes out. There's the Ravage. And that's the double that Arizona desperately needed. You called it. You said, let's look for a rotation. They did it and bravely brought the low Kunkka in to make sure that he got that experience. Uh-oh. Nemeron's going to go for the spin. That might get him out of this, but Alice wants to go deep. Here she comes. She's got the tombstone. Throws it. No, doesn't throw it down. Doesn't feel she needs it, and there it is. Easy peasy. Blocks him in. Gets the kill. Fritz with the TP and Ghost Ship, but it's really too little too late after they got that pick. It's interesting that the Jug chose to run so far instead of dodging into the trees, knowing that his supports were TPing in to try and save him.
Well, the tombstone can cut the trees down.
Fair point.
So.
Not a lot of good options, then, I guess, is the moral
Yeah,
of that
he was
story.
just dead, to be quite honest. Once he started getting hunted down by that sprint, I don't think there was anything he could have done in order to survive. Maybe if he comes down here.
Fritz.
Oh, that's the dead bang.
Fritz came out a little too far.
Maybe if he had come down like into these trees real deep, he would have survived long enough for his team to turn that around. But I have no idea why he came back to this lane instead of going top, to be honest. There's 3 down here. One of the supports is dead. They clearly don't mind diving you. Tombstone is down, but they're going to take this tower either way. That's just a waste of the Jug's time.
Meanwhile, Kronos hasn't been forced to rotate. He's just been hanging out here, getting some kills. Nice deny. Wait. Slaughter, oh, destroyed. I thought it said denied. I was like, how'd that possible? So Slaughter gets the tower. They take it down. OD continuing to just do his farm at 62 and 22. Let's go to net worth. He's at 4.3k right now. And now he's not afraid to go into the opponent's jungle. Runs into Ghost Ship, who comes forward. They're going to put down that defensive tombstone and make sure nobody chases them to the high ground because all 5 of University of Arizona were on deck. But look at this. They're not even scared. UCSD knows it. They're going to put some really smart ward out here so they can go ahead and lean into the push. Meanwhile, Blue on top doing the split, and Arizona is really going to have to work on their Wildcat offense.
Yeah, UCSD are playing this very, very well. They're leaving Blue a little to twist in the wind here, and we'll see if he is... Yeah, he's going to grab the tower, and he will get away.
Wow.
So this Kunkka missing a lot of his torrents. And what's a big problem for him as well is because he did go for a max Tidebringer build, which makes the most sense in his lane, but he didn't actually pressure his lane very effectively.
Right.
That's not a build that's going to be super effective in these pushes, in these fights, right? He's going to get 1, maybe 2 Tidebringer splashes out before a fight is over. So they don't really have a lot of good options for bursting opponents down because they don't have the damage that might come out of a torrent.
Right. Absolutely. Well, nice job by UCSD. They're playing in. They take 2 towers. They did a great job of assaulting this middle one and faded away just as Arizona got down there to try and contest them. So they're playing a very smart game. Speaking of which, Sky with the initiation goes ahead, gets the stun. He's put to sleep, but it'll be enough of his initial damage. They don't need it. Out comes 2. OD pops the ulti on the run. Fritz the Ritz. The Ravage is available. He hasn't used it. He's going to go down without using it. Says, let's not waste it. And that'll be a quad kill for UCSD, a tower, maybe even 2.
Yeah. So, and all the meanwhile, right? This Morphling is free farming. He's pretty far behind the OD, but only because OD is now sitting at 2-0 and 1, right? The Morphling is doing really, really well, considering... Well, I mean, he's had an easy game, but he's doing really, really well compared to, like, the mean of Morphlings that would be played at this level. Sitting at 4,500 net worth at 11 minutes is a very, very handsome place to be.
Absolutely.
And more towers are just going to continue to drop. U of A Still have not gotten a single core item. In fact, 2 of their cores don't even have upgraded boots, and one of their supports don't have boots at all.
Slaughter's going to make a move, though. They want to get that pick on Jug. This is bad news, man. You were just talking about a core without upgraded boots, and he goes down again as he was thinking about possibly buying them.
This is nice, though. They will get this kill.
Okay, so Blue's going to get X'd back, saving the jump. Doesn't... Okay, no mana. That's an important kill, but is it going to be enough? I mean, Jug wasn't even there for that.
That by itself is not enough, but like that helps a lot for this Kunkka.
They did pick up 830 gold off of that kill alone.
Right, and almost all of that is on the Kunkka, right? 550 of that goes to the Kunkka, who after that only just now pops above the Keeper of the Light. Like he's only just now in terms of net worth got above the lowest net worth of his opponents.
It's pretty rare that I see a 10,000 net, almost 11,000 net worth lead at 12 minutes into the game. So this is the UCSD you and I are used to seeing last year. Speaking of which, Sky comes in, hits the stun, immediately backs away. He knew it was more of a chance to try and maybe get some mana spent and then reinitiate. That's what I like about Sky's style of play. He's going for the chase, thinking about going in, gets the stun on the Kunkka again just to harass him. Niv comes forward. He does have the Ravage, but it's going to choose to back away. They're going to try to fight under tower for that extra damage, extra armor. But this is the UCSD we're used to seeing.
He's backing away with this camp very low. He put a lot of time and resources into taking that stack, Tidehunter did, and he's not going to actually wait it out and do the 2 more Anchor Smashes it would take.
Here they come, Sky with the pain, gonna go for the there. Tidehunter wants to make the move, TP's coming in, Sky and Blue are low, but will it be enough? Fritz to the high ground, Kronos can't chase, turns back around, Nimron pops the ultimate, whoa, Coddle Blast in the face! 4 down, they wanted to make it 5, but Tidehunter's gotta wander back to base, looking like a smashed watermelon, while the rest of the team, UCSD, pile drives right down this center lane. GG from the Kunkka already. And if that stands, we'll be going to game 2. Blue says it back. I don't see the counter. There it is. So, it was a tough start, man. Bad things happen to good people. In this case, Arizona, the Sun State, just could not figure out how to handle those lanes, Gorgon. That was brutal.
Yeah, we said from the very beginning that they were a team that needed to execute moving into the mid game. They needed to make sure that they were maintaining the advantage, and they absolutely did not do that. Starting from the very earliest points in this game, pre-buzzer, they didn't get out into the field early enough. They didn't get down vision early enough, and things just went wrong for them.
That's it, guys. Don't go anywhere. My name's Toffees. This is Gorgon the Wonder Cow. You're watching the CSL, and we're going to game 2. Let's see if Arizona can figure out what went wrong and make it better. We'll be right back after this.